Hey guys, it is Layla here. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Miss Lovely Layla. So yeah, where things aren't always, well, lovely, but they are Layla. So recently, I finished a book by the one, the only Philippa Gregory. And that book happens to be The Kingmaker's Daughter. Here's what the cover looks like, and I'll probably post another clip that is more close up right here. So The Kingmaker's Daughter is the fourth novel in the Cousins War series. The other three novels are The White Queen, The Red Queen, and The Lady of the Rivers. And there are actually some books after that are The White Princess, which I just finally got, and The King's Curse, which is the last book in the whole Cousins War series, and it's coming out, I think, at the end of the year. On the cover, there is a quote that says, "Her, Philippa Gregory's, best novel in years." USA Today. I do have to say, I believe that that is 100% true. Between this and The Other Boleyn Girl, which is her other sister novel, I have to say I much prefer this one. The main reason for loving this book opposed to The Other Boleyn Girl is that in this book, the sisters are redeemable and have a great relationship, as where The Other Boleyn Girl, Anne is some evil, ruthless character that really you can't redeem. A good way to start off is by reading the back, right? Okay, here we go. Oh yeah. Spies, poison, and curses surround her. Is there anyone she can trust? The Kingmaker's Daughter, Philippa Gregory's first sister story since The Other Boleyn Girl, is the gripping tale of the daughters of the man known as the Kingmaker, Richard Neville, Earl of Warwick, the most powerful magnate in the 15th century England. Without a son and heir, he uses his daughters, Anne and Isabel, as pawns in his political games, and they grow up to be influential players in their own right. At the court of Edward IV and his beautiful queen, Elizabeth Woodville, Anne grows from a delightful child to become ever more fearful and desperate when her father makes war on his former friends. That was such a tongue twister, I don't know. Married at age 14, she is soon left widowed and fatherless, her mother in sanctuary, and her sister married to the enemy. Anne manages her own escape by marrying Richard, Duke of Gloucester, but her choice will set her on a collision course with the overwhelming power of the royal family. So let me break the story down just a little bit more for you guys because it's a little bit more complex than that. So the main thing that caused strife is when Edward IV did not listen to Warwick and Edward decided to go his own way. He married Elizabeth Woodville, who is a commoner. Okay, so the most misleading thing I think about that is that Elizabeth Woodville's mother, Jaquetta, was a lady-in-waiting. She was the previous queen who Edward IV, the York family, had to overthrow. So the York family knew who the Woodville family was. Anyway, Warwick isn't happy about that. And then after Elizabeth and Edward were married, I feel like a lot of Warwick's power was taken away from him. Like, for example, he wanted to betroth his daughters Anne and Isabel to the younger brothers, which are George and Richard. The queen was like, heck no. Basically, after that, in retaliation, he takes George and marries him to his daughter Isabel, and then they run off, and then they fail with that. So then Richard takes Anne, the youngest daughter, and then marries her to the enemy that he overthrew in the first place. And then he ends up dying, Anne's husband ends up dying, and that's where the story really begins. That's more like the really important historical stuff, but actually in the book, Warwick dies fairly early. I want to say it was in at least the first 100 pages around there where he died, and this book has about 300 pages. Okay, so I am telling you right now that this book gave me the feels you don't even know. Okay, well, maybe if you read the book or watched the TV show, you would know. I am a complete Richard and Anne shipper. I do not for 1 second ship Richard and Elizabeth. No. It's just not happening. Also, if you watch the TV show, it is solely based off the White Queen, the Red Queen, and the Kingmaker's daughter. The TV show does a fantastic job of following the books. Like, honestly, that is one of the best feelings ever. Can I just say that Aneurin Bernard is the most attractive human being to ever walk this planet? And I just did, I'm a little more than obsessed with the White Queen, if you couldn't already tell. Okay, I was saying that I shipped Richard and Anne and not Princess Elizabeth and Richard. Okay, you want me to get into that? Let's get into that. There are so many cute Richard and Anne moments, like when she first finds out that her husband has died and Richard tells her, and Margaret of Anjou tries to convince him to join her side and he's just like, no. And another one is when she is just locked up in her rooms and she's not allowed to have any visitors, not allowed to go anywhere except for church. George and Isabel try and take away Anne's half of the mother's fortune because Anne and Isabel's mother is very rich. They're all like, keep her away, don't let her get married, we'll put her in a nunnery. Richard comes in and he is like, where is Anne? He ends up rescuing her and then they run off and get married, and I just thought that was so cute. Richard and Anne actually grew up together. They were playmates. They studied together for some part and they were always expected to have gotten married, and I just thought it was really cute. I feel like the hardest part in writing a book from several points of view is that you have to get in one character's point of view and like fully immerse yourself. Switching from one protagonist and then going to the other extreme, whether it be the other protagonist's nemesis, may be a little bit difficult, and I feel like this was the biggest struggle. Things are said differently, just some little tidbits are off, and I feel like they're off just because in order for the story to be complete, they had to be written a certain way and there's no way around it. My main complaint is that Miss Gregory had to choose one point of view and she also had the other points of views going on at the same time. Each story is a little different and has a different feel to it, so you thought you knew the characters, but they're different, and I hate that. There's just so much inconsistency with that. Like, okay, here's one example. In The White Queen, Jaquetta was like totally for magic and she was like using magic here, using magic there. In The Lady of the Rivers, however, she is more cautious about her use of magic. The demeanor of her character is different. I feel like this same situation happened with Richard in The White Queen and the Kingmaker's daughter. In The Kingmaker's daughter, Anne and Richard, their love story is really good, and like you actually believe that he truly loves her. Well, in The White Queen, there is a letter from Richard to Elizabeth Woodville while they're in Sanctuary, and he says that he loves Princess Elizabeth. Like in The Kingmaker's daughter, Richard's feelings for Elizabeth don't feel honest. Like, I can tell that there's sincerity for Anne, but for Princess Elizabeth, I feel it's more like a plot. My thoughts on the subject are that Richard wanted to discredit Henry Tudor, who was also Elizabeth of York's fiance, and that was the main way to do it because it would make Henry Tudor look bad. In The White Queen, it was plausible that Richard was cheating on Anne with Princess Elizabeth, but in The Kingmaker's daughter, I just don't see it at all. I see it as just a plot. It just sucks in a way because I know you can't rewrite what's already been written, but I wish there would have been some way to make the books coexist together equally because right now they're not doing that. One thing I am so glad about is that Miss Gregory wrote about the Warwick sisters. Well, technically Anne, but Isabel's a really big character in the novel too. Because from the moment that I read The White Queen, and they mentioned Anne's character, there was never really much detail about her. There was never actually much detail all about her life and history, and it was just an interesting character that I hoped would be explored. Out of all the Cousins War series, this book is probably my favorite, and I just love the life that she gave the characters and how she elaborated because you usually never hear from the loser side of things. Like, you know, the battle war quote, you always hear from the winner's side, but you never know the loser's side of the story. Well, in a big sense, Anne Neville was a loser in a lot of the sides because she was the loser with her father. Well, she wasn't a loser, but you know what I mean. Wow, like, she was not a loser. In war only, in battles. So my overall thoughts on this book right here are positive. I love the story. The characters were pretty interesting, and I loved the interactions between the good characters and the bad characters. Like I said, my biggest problem was with the books coexisting. Just go in it with an open mind because it's not that big of a deal. It was just a pet peeve for me personally. When you're reading historical fiction like this, you have to remember that this is not what really happened. It's fiction with historical roots. So some of this stuff may be true, some of it may not be. You just gotta take it for what it is, you know? I do love this book and I recommend it to anyone who likes historical fiction. I'm so excited to start The White Princess though. I don't really know how I'm gonna feel because Anne Neville's already my favorite character and this is kind of her nemesis. So how am I going to be able to switch allegiances? I don't know. Look at the comparison of the two books. This book has 100 extra pages and you can totally tell. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And make sure to subscribe because then we can obsess over Anira Bernard and the White Queen. Doesn't that sound like fun? Anyways, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!